Hi, I'm Mike Moe with the Industrial Division here at Graco. In this video, we're going to go through the steps of setting up the Stellair gun. This is actually the Stellair ACE gun, but the steps for both guns are going to be the same. All right, to start off, we want to prime our paint from the pump into the gun. And to do that, best practices, we're going to remove the air cap. That's just going to help keep that cap a little bit cleaner. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn on my air supply, but I want to make sure that my regulators for the pump and the gun are turned all the way back to 0. All right, now we have the air onto the pump. I'm going to go ahead and trigger the gun into a grounded pail, and then I'm going to slowly start increasing my pump pressure. And we'll turn our regulator up to get some flow. All right, once we have all the air out of the system and we have a clean stream of paint, then I'm going to go ahead and de-trigger. And while we're going to go ahead and we're going to set up our pressures at both the pump and the regulator. So for the pump, I'm going to increase the pump pressure to be somewhere between 40 and 50 psi to start. We're going to regulate the flow of paint back at this regulator. So I'm going to turn it back just a little bit. I'm going to trigger the gun, and what I'm looking for is I want the paint to be coming out of the end of the gun somewhere between 8 and 12 inches. That's going to set up the paint velocity out of the gun to make sure it's in front of the atomizing air for the right duration of time. So once I have my stream set up to the desired velocity, I'm going to go back and check on my regulator to see what kind of pump pressure I have. And I'm slightly below 5 psi. I would really like to be above 5 psi, but below 30. So this is an instance where I would go back to my setup and I would change the tip size to a smaller tip so I can increase my pressure size. For the purpose of today's video, we're going to go ahead and move forward. Okay, now that we have the fluid set up, we're going to move on to setting up the atomizing air. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my air cap back on the gun, and the Stellair ACE air cap has a dual purpose cap. If you're going to use it for HVLP, or if you're in an HVLP compliant area, you're going to put no more than 16 psi inbound air pressure to the gun, which is going to result in 10 at the cap. If you're LVMP, then you can increase the air pressure from there until you get the performance that you want. Okay, I'm now going to add some atomizing air, and I'm just going to increase it to about 10 psi. And that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to go over to the roller board over here, and we're going to shoot a pattern, and I'm going to shoot it really fast so we can break that pattern apart and look at the droplet sizes. I'm then going to come back and I'm going to increase my air pressure, and I'm going to continue to do that until I stop seeing particle sizes getting smaller. At that point, I'm going to be done setting up my atomizing air. So let's go. Okay, as you can see, when I went from this setting to this setting, my particle size stopped decreasing. So now what I can do is I can go back to this setting, and that's going to allow me the best atomization with the smallest amount of air pressure. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the pattern height adjustment, and that's going to be done with this top knob. As you can see, you're going to adjust that pattern of height until you get the correct height for your application. One other knob on the back of the gun is the restrictor for the trigger pull. When you're setting up this gun, you want to make sure that this is in the full back position. This knob is to be used when you want to slow down the flow for doing touch-ups or cut-ins. If you want to decrease or increase the pressure to affect the flow rate, you should adjust that back at the pump. Okay, that completes the setup for the Stellair ACE. Keep in mind, it would be the same steps for the Stellair gun. In addition to that, we used a cart-mounted Triton pump. It would be identical setups again if this was a pail mount or a wall mount. For more information about the Stellair or Stellair ACE, visit us at www.graco.com.